Hello, my fellow randoms. My name is Kev Duffy, and welcome to this, our 33rd episode of What's Your Random Podcast, where I discover and celebrate independent and individual creativity from the inception of an idea to the process and the practicalities of bringing that idea to life. Essentially, you are bringing something from your mind, a creative endeavor, into reality, into existence, to share with others, to communicate that idea in some tangible form, whatever medium it takes, whatever media it takes. You are manifesting, you are creating from nothing to create something. And I am interested in exploring that process and the generation of those ideas in general. Thank you for joining me. If you can, help us grow our audience by sharing and doing all of that good stuff. For this 33rd episode, my guest is Markus Geiger. He is the head of 3D Art Lab. He's an engineer, a 3D designer, a 3D printer, and a game designer out of Munich, Germany. And he is currently in the ending final hours of kickstarting his most recent project, which is called Space Kraken, with a K. Space Kraken. It's wrapping up right now, so pause the episode with every intention of coming back and joining us for the conversation, and check out his project by searching Space Kraken on Google or Kickstarter, where the project is being funded. And this is Markus's 7th project on Kickstarter. He has had a lot of experience bringing games to fruition, and we dig into how he manages such large projects, large ideas, and a little bit of a spoiler alert, but he said he doesn't sleep a lot because he's working so hard on these passion projects, and you could really feel his passion and enthusiasm with which he talks about these projects and his approach to them. I had a fantastic time chatting with him, and I think you will have a fantastic time listening. So without further ado, my conversation with Markus Geiger. Enjoy the random.
Say we just jump inside. No problem.
All right. Yeah, let's jump right in. So my guest today is Markus Geiger of 3D Art Lab. He is an engineer, a 3D designer, a 3D printer, and also a game designer, which includes many aspects of the game design, including writing the story. And he's here today to talk about many other things, but among those things, Space Kraken, which is live on Kickstarter right now. So thank you for joining me and turning around quickly to get us together before the Kickstarter is over. Markus.
Thank you, too. I was quite happy to meet you, and I just watched some of your videos, and I very liked them. So I said, yeah, I have to make some video as well with you. So I'm here now.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I see some things behind you that I imagine are part of your process, maybe a 3D printer, if I'm guessing correctly.
I have here in my background, the small black machines here are some 3D printer, resin printer, where you can make some high quality, fine resin prints like this chess miniature. And yeah, I use it to make prototypes for different kind of games, and sometimes even some serial productions. And I started with these little printers and make some terraforming Mars. I guess you know the game Terraforming Mars. Some custom tile set, because many people ask me if they can. This is, for example, some ocean tile looking like some little ocean in hexagon shape. And maybe I should begin at the beginning of the story. I love games. Since I was a child, and since I was the age of my son now, about 8 years or so, and I creating games. I play some Monopoly and everything, or Risk, and then I get some ideas and think I have to make it better and have to try something different. And so I'm modding the games, making own games, but I don't learn that as a normal job and going to be a draftsman and engineer. And this is what I'm doing for a living, usually until now, I have to say, because I'm now making the way to being game design all time, full time.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah. I slow it down my usual engineering job now, and I just start to work 28 hours a week, starting with September, and because I have 40 or 50-hour jobs a week, and before that, it's just a little bit crazy with family and everything, and because it's booming so much. And yeah, I made some games as game designer just for other publishers, Yellow, King of Tokyo, I have some small game for them and some others. But you are always dependent to do exactly what they like, maybe, or they say, yeah, we make it big style and so on. And then they just make some small version of the game. And if you are your publisher, your own, you can do what you like when you like it. And so I decided to give 3D Art Lab or create 3D Art Lab. And then I get started with Terraforming Mars, customize it with the small little printers, and people ask me, they like it, I should make some cool design with these tires, and I make 15 sets for friends and some board, and I said, okay, yeah, let's try it on Kickstarter. Maybe I get work for some weeks maybe to get the printers busy, and then in the first day for 10,000 euro they're ordering stuff, and until the end of the campaign I have 43,000 euro, and I not make some advertise, nothing. I just say, okay, I have it, and the people ordering like crazy, and they're buying 23 printers, and they're running a half year full time. And the laser cutter here, some CNC laser cutting machine where I make some overlays and extra stuff. And I have some, 7 FDM printers as well for the big parts, some cases. And it's just for people, they love the game and they want to have everything in deluxe and extra. And we have had orders from 200 to 700 euro, one order. Just extra material. It's not the game included. It's just making it nice. And yeah, it's an awesome game and you want to have awesome material. Yeah, and so I get started. And yeah, later on I make some submarine game. I don't know if you see it, the Type 7.
Yeah. So before we jump ahead to all of those projects, so was 3D Art Lab, did you create that business and that company just for the tile set for terraforming Mars? And just so that I understand and people who are listening have full clarity, the terraforming Mars game is a separate game from another company, and there's tiles that are I guess they're hectagon or something like that.
Yeah, hex-shaped tiles, and just
they fit
some
together.
Cardboard tiles in the original. Just color printed cardboard tiles, very simple. And the community already make many tiles, but not that cute design, and just FDM printed, so not so fine. But there were already some very big community, and they asked me if I can get started with it. And 3D Art Lab, I created. I have the decision to the change of the year 2010 if I want to upraise it and make it bigger, or just stop making the games, because it's a lot of effort. And if you just make a little bit, then it's not worth everything about the text and everything, the paperwork, And so I say, okay, I give it a chance one time. And what should I do to begin with? And the most interesting thing at that moment was 3D printing, doing something that nobody else did before. And that's why I did it. But the plan to making games was all the time there. And I made the games before and after. And so this was just the startup to get the company started with the 3D tiles. Yeah. So it's called 3D Art Lab because it's not, most games I have 3D things. The submarine game is a 3D submarine to put together. But it's generally about game and even game equipment and game extra stuff, everything what you love about games. Yeah.
Yeah. And so did the business did you have it pre-established and you were kind of working on some stuff before the tile set for terraforming Mars, or was this the real project that you said, okay, I'm going to go for it, and built the business? Or were there some patchwork of other things in your past before that?
I have a lot of projects just on ice, ready to get started. At the moment, I have the best abilities and the best connections to realize it. I have some, for example, I have had already board games where you need miniatures to some sculpted models from some heroes or whatever, and I have no 3D sculptor. I can make some landscapes, some mechanic design, tanks and everything. I can make my own. But if you need some orcs or some fantasy stuff like that, then I need somebody to do it. And so the company start growing, and I just choose the projects for which I can realize first, and this is most interesting for the most people. And so I get started with these tires, but I have about 60 projects or so that I just have to choose. 60.
Wow.
Close is going forward to 100, depending on to how much you count. And some of them are already finished. We have already printed prototypes you can put on the table and just start playing. And I just have to choose the most interesting one at the beginning. So, and I already do very much. I can do about 2 big projects per year, and only if I do it half time at the moment. I can do much more if I have doing it full time.
I noticed that. Yeah, one of the things that impressed me so much when I was looking through your the projects that you have on Kickstarter was that really you started, I think Terraforming Mars was funded March 2019. So that's not really all that long ago.
No, it was end December also very at the end of 2019 also.
Yeah, and you have 7 projects total. And I noticed that early on you had one called Chibi Commander.
Yeah, Chibi Commander, that was some first test before I already founded 3D Art Lab. It was just a project I liked, like XCOM, the UFO series, the video game where you fight with some little heroes against the aliens. And it was very nice, made with some papercraft painted miniatures and no models. But I make no advertising and nothing. I just make it for fun. And it was just the first test. It's maybe one of the projects that would be interesting if I have some really miniatures for it, that some company sculpting the aliens and everything, and go with it with the really 3D miniatures. But I have so many other things that are more important right now, so I go for the other things. But it was the first test, yeah.
Yeah. And then from there, you did the tile set for terraforming and universal card stands. And those two seem like more building products for existing games. The card stand is like, can be used with any card game really. And it's just to enhance the player experience. So was it your strategy to kind of get your feet wet with Kickstarter and build up to the bigger things, or was that just what you were interested at that time?
Both. I get the CNC laser cutter here, right on my side here, and this machine can cut just awesome stuff without a much effort. You need the machine, but then you can just start it and you get overlays. That was the beginning for Terraforming Mars, where you can lay above your cardboard, so the tiles or the little meeples you lay on the board cannot just move away because you have the grid there. And we're starting to selling this and for other games as well. There was Maracaibo and Brest Birmingham and other games where we sell these overlays, and another company that supported me with the Terraforming Mars set, and they have a big shop and a news magazine here in Germany. They sell my stuff in their shop, and so it was just some second, what to say in English, some second branch I opened to support everything. So if you have some wider area, you make some support things for games, you make your own games. So it's just some wider base. And everything interests me, so I did everything I like. So the card stands, and later there's the mini box games, the games in the box series. You see, there was I not released every games. I have 4. And 3 I already published. There was some little Corona game where you fight against Corona by building up some factories. But if you build up factories, you spread the virus as well. And it's just some balancing thing. The interesting point about that game was I was just fascinated about how to organize this. Because if you're going in production and want to upgrade and need more money, you have to force the industry. And this maybe give you some punchback with the virus again, and you have to make some balance to handle it. And that was that attempt. And then we have some monster slashing game where you attack some city with some monster, and everything just inside a little box, but it's like some Godzilla game in the box. And we have the what was it? Yeah, Into the Orbit. This is for children. I make it for my son, where you build up your own rockets, like some kind of video games where you can choose the different stages of your rocket, and they give you different boosts and different behavior. And this just is a board game, so you have to decide the risk if you reach the high and can bring some satellites into space or not. And because every stage maybe fail, you have to make some dice roll and some quick and fast games. These games I make in about a week, and the entire game is finished from the design,
from
the
beginning to deciding the idea to the end.
About 1 week. I can make every week such a game if I have full time and do nothing else. This was just fun. I do it just because I love it, and it was just some small games. I don't sell a lot, maybe 2,000 or 3,000, 4,000 euro or so, but this make a lot of fun. So I do what I like, and I create it then. But generally, because I want to make the company bigger, of course, and I want to reach a bigger community. So I make games like Type 7 and now Space Kraken, which are interesting for a very wide range of people, and is a much bigger, let's say, full price game. And and I make a lot of advertisement as well, because if you have the coolest idea, whatever, if it's a game or if it's a a gadget or whatever, if you don't show it and have not the media attention, it's close worthless, because nobody see it and it's for nothing. So you have to spend the same time and same amount, or even much more, than to the development, to making the advertisement and telling everybody the story about the game. And
yeah, and I noticed for Space Kraken, which is so in sequential order, just so everybody knows, you did the tile set, then you did the universal card stand, which are kind of appendixes or something to add on to games, and then you did Corona Battle Against COVID-19 and your 2 other box games. Which, when you say box games, I think all 3 of these are games that are made out of wood, or at least 2 of them are.
The box is made of wood in all cases. The components are most made of wood, some acrylic parts inside as well, but everything laser cutted, and some dice. That's everything.
Yeah. And those are all great. And then you went into Type 7, which is another pretty self-contained game that is a submarine warfare game in fog. So the concept for that is really fascinating as well. And then you did Space Kraken, which is the one that is live on Kickstarter
exactly
now. So what the scope of Type 7, the sub game, and Space Kraken are both much bigger than the previous games for me. It seems like they're much bigger projects. So how did you decide to make the jump to do something so much bigger? And was it that much harder because it was that much bigger?
Harder is a difficult thing. I would not say harder. A lot of more work, because you have you need more time to develop. You have to need in case of Type 7, for example, you need to make the prototypes and send it all over the world, and everything is laser cutted with my machine. So it takes some time to I think 20 or 30 pieces I send away to testers, or some in Germany, but also some in USA and all over the world. I have friends from Japan to Australia, everywhere. And so I want to spread it to get some reviews. And the decision for Type 7 was quite interesting. I was searching for a new game and was not sure what I should do. And a friend teased me with the solitaire games, games specially made to play alone without any friends. And I played The Hunter, and The Hunter, this is some submarine game, a little bit similar what I did with Type 7, but they have not this fog of war effect. You see everything, you're diving, but you know what's going on. You make tactical decisions as well, but you don't have the feeling. That was my attempt, that I think I missed the feeling. I want to be underwater, and I'm not sure if I hear something, if it's a whale or some ship or some hunter, I don't know. And so I want to deliver the feeling. And so I made Type 7. And because I have a lot of fans liking war games as well. And so I get started with this. And by Type 7, I make the attention to the game. By Terraforming Mars, I did no advertising, nothing. I just started, and the hype was already there. And Type 7, nobody knows. And solitaire games are just some smaller branch. So not so many people love that kind of games, or even now that kind of games. And I make about 2 or 3 months before, I make really advertisements and in prototypes, get some reviews and so on. on. And so I pushed it forward, and it get the same size at the end, or close the same size as the Terraforming Mars custom sets, but own made. So it was already some development. And with Space Kraken now, I was sure I make another attempt to getting it bigger, because I have some community. Many of them already buy the games. Since the beginning, I have people buying 5 or 6 games from me, and just love and tell me, just whatever you do, just tell me, I bag one. And even if they're very
That's
difficult,
great to have such an audience.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and especially Kickstarter. It's good if there are some people, they get the chance to realize something what they cannot do if they not have Kickstarter. And in every Kickstarter project, I have some point where the people come and say, exactly because of that, I love Kickstarter, because we get something that is just something unique, and some bigger company don't do things like that. And that's just what I make, and why I get some fan base, what it's growing. And I decide for Space Kraken in this attempt because science fiction is a much wider area or range of people are interested in. I have people reading books, loving Star Trek, Star Wars, playing old video games from XCOM to Captive to Planet Edge, the very old retro games, everything what is have to do with science fiction. And all of them get in love with my game. And I was able to send 250 prototypes I already produced. And I have 120 tester all over the world, because I can send it with an airmail. It's not so expensive to produce and not have to spend hours in making one prototype each. And so I spread it all over the world. And I already have had connection to very much testers from Type 7, even such testers that I not get some prototype because I'm just out of Type 7 at that time. And all of them get Space Kraken. And very soon at Type 7, it was close before the campaign ends on Kickstarter, reviewers and so on coming to me and ask me if they can get some prototype because they see the project somewhere else. And now it's already after the first week, reviewers and everybody coming and say, hey, I want to have one as well. And at one moment I have to say, okay, I cannot send to testers, only for reviewers, because I'm just running out. I can ship 1,000 of them away and getting empty again. So it was quite good decision to get it spreaded all over the world. And the feedback is just so immense and positive that the project is spreading even bigger as I suggested. It's very late in the night here.
Yeah, and I noticed. So you said that for starting with Type 7, you started to do a little bit more promotion because this was your own concept and not building off a pre-existing game.
Yes.
And I noticed with Space Kraken too, your promotion is really professional. And I get the sense that you have more collaborators specifically for this project. So yeah, what is the difference between your promotion between Type 7 and Space Kraken, and how did you change your approach or evolve your approach to promotion between the two games?
It's not so much as it seems. The basic part is I just able to deliver more prototypes. I can just reach more. And in Type 7, I have had many feedback, and they say, the design, the submarine look awesome and everything. It's just amazing, but I don't love war games or some submarine solitaire games because it's very specific. And in this case, I just reach everybody. The feedback wherever I write something or post something is just much more. And there's just, I guess there was not a single people telling me, oh, I don't like the graphic or something, or it's just nothing for me or so. Everybody just say, oh, they see the image and especially the cover I made here for the game. And they see the cover with the spaceship and the soldiers here and some mystical things going on and the strange planet, just everything inside what you love as some science fiction fan. And they see it and they feel in love with the game. And that was just, And the first time I see that it really worked, as I suggested, was I make the prototype, the very first prototype, even without the illustrations, and I just write the rules down to memory on my own. There was not some chronological, in some order, and not was fully written, just some sketch that I can remember. And anyway, I sent it to a friend and some game reviewer, and he read it and want to test it. And at what was it, 5 p.m. or soon before no, it was 11 p.m. So close before midnight. He sent me a message. Yeah, it's so hard. He cannot the rules because it's just something missing. And I explained him a bit, and he was a little bit angry because it was hard to get in. And at 1 a.m. in night, he write me back, oh, I now understand. I cannot stop. I have to go forward. I have to find out what happened there. And he just get very, very in love with the game. And then I realized, okay, it works not only for me. So I finish it, get the design to it, have some cooperation with a friend in Russia. He did all the graphic work, and all the rest is what I design. And even the programming I have, because I program a computer program to crypt the story, because it's some special way where the story is concentrated and hidden. So you have something like a game master included into the book that tells you the story and reacts onto what you do. And it's not just like, read at page 5 if you do this decision, and read at that page. They can also use variables and just react very strange. They can trigger combats or get event can triggered by some location, and just everything influence everything. And this very complicated thing to write. So I write a program that simulates it and convert it into the sheets where what I used in the game. And this
I had a question about that. I guess that's called, you refer to that as the cryptic game master, right?
CGM. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you built a computer program essentially to help you develop the chronology of a story to be variable and interesting. And then that computer program, if I understand it correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, but printed out some arrangement of these events that you could go through in sequence. And that chronology is printed out in the book. And for everybody listening, the game is essentially within a book. It's contained within a book.
Bigger than this. This is about the half size, about 100 pages, the prototype, but it looks exactly or close like that, just a little bit thicker. And the interesting or the unique thing about this book is, if you fold open, you not have only a standard A4-page book. You have also, I open it here 1 second, and I can show you. You have pages with some fold out section. So if you open it, you can, I hope it work. You have here some sheets with the enemies as well, and the combat rules. So depending on the mode where you are, if you are in ground combat, you open the ground combat sheets and the enemies. If you are in space combat, you do open some different page combination. So you not have to sort some miniatures and prepare something. You just open and close your book and have every time the phase of the game, what you need to play. And you can stop in a minute or in 20 seconds and keep on playing another time. And you just need a pencil and eraser and some dice, and that's all.
Yeah. So do you know, is there another game that exists in that format? Because I'm not familiar with one.
I don't know as well. I never see most, if you don't just have some hardcover and not this wire binding, you cannot just lay it 180 degree open without moving the page up again. And with I do often some things, and I think, okay, it have to be like that because it makes sense and it's so easy and awesome. And then the people say, I never see something like that, and so on. And I just cannot believe, because the idea is so nothing special, I think, but I don't know a book or a game doing it like that way. The same with the CGM. I don't see it in that way anytime before. So I say, okay, I have to go for it and make a book like that and open the genre with it. And the CGM machine is just generally just some table here where you have, I have to hold it like that. You have the so-called line tracker. You have different storylines, and you just note the last point, like some coordinate points. And depending on if in the beginning of the turn you start each line, and they can trigger some story events. There can be some traders just meeting you, interacting with you, some horror elements, and they can even mix. So a line can spread into 2 different things. You can get some new crewmates, and everything can just get handled by the lines. Everything what the game mechanics can prove. But the core of the CGM system you can also apply to some other games. For example, people already asked me for fantasy games, end of the world games like Fallout and so on, and even some a love novel, for example. If you make write some novel about for girls to read, and you want to meet some boy or so, and it really interacts, and so you can use the CGM for everything. You can make some simulation for some artificial intelligence of some game they are already there on the market. If you want to have they should be intelligent or doing something else, you can also write the system to support that kind of games. In this situation, I just put it in the science fiction genre because it delivers the most abilities to of different things, from managing a crew, buying different weapons. You have support stuff, you have shields, you have melee weapons, you have even mascots, you have a multiplayer mode, you have everything what have to do with technology, from teleporter, from you need some oxygen supply, you need tanks to refill and everything like that. And a crazy story of different aliens with different skills and just everything what you can imagine. In fantasy, you have close the same, but I guess science fiction is even a bit more of the crazy tech stuff. Okay, maybe you have magic, what you have in fantasy, what is maybe something close like the high technology in the science fiction. So I guess for sure I have to go for fantasy as well. But the most interesting point at the beginning was, okay, we go for science fiction. So we go that way.
Yeah, and it reminded me of a choose your own adventure book, but as a very, very much more complex version of a choose your own adventure book, plus these dungeon crawling
strategy
aspects,
dungeon
role playing aspects that you're kind of picking characters with different attributes and maybe getting different weapons and things like that, and then a little bit more probability added. Was the CGM difficult for you to conceive of and program? I mean, for me, it seems like a very complex system.
Yeah, the creation of the CGM, this was the first thing I created for the book. And the friend getting crazy with the game in the night asked me how long you create working in this to realize it. And the truth is, it was January or February this year. At the Monday, I sitting at work and just dreaming and thinking about what to do next. And I think if I can implement some cryptid game master somehow, it would be just amazing. And one day I was close to giving up because I thinking about it, and the problem was whatever you do and whatever you write in the book, you know what happened. You write, okay, for example, you have some parameter like the angry or aggressivity of your boss or so, and you mark some number and you see, okay, if you trigger the number to 4 and then they attack you, and you know it because you write it in the field, so it's a little bit stupid. And I think a long time about it, one day. And the second day at the morning, I have the idea to make it with some like cryptid a fields where you're just moving and you just now like a pointer to the next field. You know, okay, next time you have to read in this coordinates, and if you trigger some value, some attribute, then you write it at you have some named attributes, but you don't know what they stay for. And the CGM asks you later, maybe, okay, you meet some trader, look in field number X, and then this field tells you exactly what the grade of weapons, for example, he trading with you. And so you cannot see in advance, but the system manage everything in background. And the most complicated thing was to write a program to do it, because you can write the lines by hand, but because you have to use some pointer showing every time to some other field, and you mix them because you don't want that they see it like a straight line. And if you change one thing, you have to change all coordinates of the system. And so you need some Excel sheet to plan it, just like you do some planning for a book or for some story, but then converting this into in an intelligent way into the CGM sheets. And I write some Visual Basic code in Excel that now it's just some click, and in a few seconds you have the scripted sheets, and you just have to print it or copy it in the layout, and everything's fine. And I was programming about, I don't know, 3 or 4 days or so. This was the most difficult thing to get it handled. And yeah, and the rest of the book, the space combat, the ground combat, and everything, I just think about and sketched it down, and I was maybe changed 10% of it after on. Everything just fitting together. I just make it, and after a week we was able to play. It was just some draw it there and it worked. But I have to say, I make games, I don't know, hundreds of games. Since I'm a child, and I make games all the time. And it's like if you playing music, I play violin as well. And if you need time, first you just have some little bit feeling to hit some tone. Maybe sometime later you can just read the notes. Maybe later you can get some and composing something your own. And somebody like Bach or Mozart, they don't even have to play. They just sit down and write some for I don't know, 20 different instruments in the same time, some entire piece of music, not even play it one or test it one time, and they just write it and press play and it work, because they just have the experience and they're doing it so often that they just get some feeling how it works. And that was just some very hit in the first attempt. So it was very, very fast from February to Kickstarter start a little bit later. So
yeah, and how much of that time was building the actual story that's contained within? Because that's also, not only is it making sense from a structural sequential point of view, but now you need to add some substance, which is the quality of a storyteller.
Yeah. The prototype have 4 different stories you can play. Each is made of 4 different sub-storylines. You can even mix them between. So if you play all 4 lines each time, you can just mix the combinations. And in each of these 4 sub-storylines is one storyline at the moment, which triggers the end. But they can vary. And in the end, you can, even some side quests can maybe open some alternatively end of the game. It's getting even more complex. For example, if you go in dungeon exploration in the map, they can even trigger some story. And if you have the planet expansion book, you can even go on a planet, build up some base, handled in the CGM story. They can even trigger some story as well, some new lines. And the stories of the prototype, these 4 stories, if you play from the start to the end, is about 10 hours one. So you can already, the prototype, you can play about 40 hours. And even if you play the same storyline again, what I did with some German podcaster last time, I write all the stories. I know what happened, but the situation is every time different. You have another crew, you have another ship, the locations you find randomly, the entire worlds, the enemies, everything is different. So even if the story is a little bit similar, you have a quite different feeling of the games. I guess already prototype, you maybe. Yeah.
Is that just based on the choices you make in game, or also the probability of dice rolling, or combination of both? I guess
both. Your decisions you can decide with the heroes you can start with, and you can play very different strategies. You can play going with supporter, with some tech nerds, or you go with some combat team, and this influences the game as well, where you can go forward. And sometimes you find some map and maybe there's some big end boss, but behind you have some very much treasure, so you have to come back later if you're strong enough. And the next time you play the same story, you maybe find something quite different. You maybe find some other kind of enemies, and they are just only weak against melee attacks, and then you have to take care about finding some melee weapons, maybe get some skills and before upgrading your crew, and this influenced the game as well, the same as the story. And the story here, in the final version, it gets more intense. This is already, it's some part of story. Maybe we say one quarter or so of the story, and the rest is the strategy, creating worlds, going on ground combat and so on, and exploring the worlds. And we get, in the final game, we get even more story, because they just want to read more. In this case, it was like more a tech demo. You have story and quests and everything, but it's much more fluff, much more background information. I create the first thing, what I do next is I create the entire universe. After I finish the rules and make the fine tuning, I write the entire story, what races, what happened in this universe, and everything you need to know. And it's just nothing I just write in the book. It's just some secret plan in the background, some master plan. And then I write the storylines into this universe. And if you're playing through and again, you get some view on the entire, on the full piece. And at the end, you see it's a single piece making sense together. And the prototype story I write, how long? Maybe a week or so. I worked at this, and the final version, for sure, I want to work more than a month or so. Get a lot of work, but it's nothing that I'm afraid of doing, because the prototype have already all elements. generally it's just more of everything, and a little bit more complex, okay, but it's nothing magical. It already works, and the tuning things we do are just some optimizations, what comes from the test players or just after playing my own. But in general, if you see the final book or if you play the prototype, you see you have the same feeling. It's what I already planned to deliver, so it's nothing I'm afraid of.
Yeah, and where did the foundational story, the theme is?
Yeah, the beginning. Yeah,
I think even just the short synopsis of the story is really fascinating, and I'm gonna try to say it. And if I make a mistake, please correct me. But humans create a Kraken to help cleanse the ocean. Then during a military conflict, the Kraken is also inadvertently or mistakenly attacked with nuclear weapons, and it evolves into a battle between different human armies and the Kraken itself. The Kraken ends up creating its own wormhole through which it goes into space
and disappears, run away.
It disappears, and then some humans go into that hole too to escape the devastation on Earth, and you are on that ship.
Exactly.
And already
it's generally the story. You already can decide which kind of settlers you are, because some are really settlers that just want to survive and want to go in space, and you cannot fly to another system 100 millions of light years away, because we don't have hyperlight travel. So the only way to get to a closed star system is just following away the wormhole. And the other option is there are also some militaries want to pay back the Kraken for revenge. There are some gangsters just stolen some ship. We have some ultra rich person. I don't know his name. We have already such persons like them, some tech nerds with very much money, the highest tech and equipment, but going alone in the ship and flying just a single person. You have some bigger groups of 4 people. It just varies until you choose your flight, what's fitting best to you. And then you're going into the Warholm, and this opens an entire new universe. And this was the general thing. The story is crazy. I just have to say, I take no drugs writing it. But, I want to have something that opens in a universe in a new way, and doing something new. And the important thing is, if you have some crazy idea, that the things that resulting after that basic idea make some sense in the context of the own universe. Like, I love Godzilla movies. It make no sense. Physically, it's not possible to get some big creatures. But if you just forget about that one fact, the entire universe makes sense. I would build laser tanks my own if I want to defeat some big Godzilla monster. And so it's just some starting point to get the universe started.
How did you come up with that idea? Because I think it's quite novel and it's really fun. So I wonder, where do you think it came from?
This is a very, very difficult question. It was just there. I was thinking about the story, and I defined the parameters that I want to have some jump point where I go into space and have some all abilities. And I was thinking about, okay, that the humankind is dooming. We already start doing that, racing the oceans and everything. And I want to have some contrast. I just don't want to have some evil enemy, and he's evil, and we have to fight and kill him, and then everything's fine. That's just too simple. And the Kraken, in the point of view, for example, the most loved picture illustration from the game, in my case, is the Kraken, where it's on the ocean. It's in the trailer of the Kickstarter movie right at the beginning, where it is very friendly and peaceful, floating in the ocean and loading the trash into some very big cargo ship to clean the ocean. And he's so peaceful, the birds flying in the sky, the sun is shining, and everything is fine. And of course, if you attack him, he tried to escape, and he maybe run on land, and in the second scene you see he's destroying a land, but he's bleeding. He just wants to run away, and the water on his body even looked like tears, because he's not evil generally, but of course he's smashing millions of people maybe by trying to escape. And I understand the people as well want to go and fight back. And so I have this very interesting situation, and we going into the wormhole, and we land where the Kraken was going, and we open entire story that way.
Yeah, yeah, that's fantastic. So it sounds like you had a plot point, and that plot point was you needed a wormhole to a universe that will give you, a playground to play in, so to speak.
Exactly.
And so you had this one idea to have a Kraken develop his own wormhole for you and us and other fellow players to travel through. So that's really cool.
And you don't even know if you come back to Earth or not. Maybe your plan is to save the Earth. This is one very interesting story. What I already noted from different possibilities to solve the game. In one way, you can try to find out the coordinates of Earth to find some technology, collecting resources, maybe. Build some nano-based planet that building everything you need to recover Earth. And maybe in some little background situation, some scientists say, yeah, but we don't know if we go to the wormhole, what happened to time and everything. And you can just go straight ahead, jump back to Earth, and then you come to Earth and it's just 10,000 years passed and dinosaurs already living again, or something very strange happened, and you really have to take in the right moment, and some scientist telling something crazy, you really have to spend all resources, even if it's crazy, to find out how to even manipulate the time if you go back, or not even just the time not passes that quick, and then you maybe can able to go back to Earth and rescue the dying Earth again. And you have multiple different crazy stories like that with different ends, and it all depends on your decisions. And the most important thing is it's a roguelike game, meaning you don't save the game. You just have to play it, and if you make a decision and somebody of your crew is dying, you're losing him. You have to go forward. Maybe you'll find another one. And this is like if you cheat in games, for example, and just save and load in a video game, so a decision doesn't matter, because if it's wrong, okay, you load again, so it doesn't matter. And in this case, if you're playing 8 hours, you make one wrong decision and all of your crew members die. So it's very, very thrilling. We have some save mode. You can in the easy mode, you can just save everywhere to get learn how to handle the game. And in some medium mode, you have some clone station where you can clone yourself like that, and then you have some starting point to start again if you lose the game. But the real life mode is you playing it one time and every decision counts there.
Yeah, it sounds so fun. And I was like smiling when I was looking at your Kickstarter and thinking about the game and learning about it. And in learning about it, the CGM is original. I think the presentation of the game in a book form is very original. And I also noted that for Type 7, the submarine game, that seemed quite original too, because it's part like model building. You build up this beautiful submarine out of pieces of wood, and then you also there's a torpedo.
And it started with
It
started with these torpedoes. I have different kind of torpedo warheads, magnetic ignition and just standard impact ignition, and different kinds to drive them with steam power or with electric, like it was in the real World War. And I want to have something, just to touch and you can collect
hold
together.
And look at too.
And it was just so awesome. And before that, the major idea was with the rotating disc covering the parameters. This was the target disc holder. I don't know if you see it. This was the most unique point.
That was what I wanted to talk about. So I'm glad you brought it up, because the format of Space Kraken is really unique and original, but also this tile and spinning tile that helps to hide some of what is coming and make it so that you really can't anticipate what's going to happen your next turn or future turns. I think that's really original too. Can you explain that? And then my question, if you want to answer it immediately after, is how do you communicate such original things so that people could understand them and understand the value and be able to use something that's, maybe they haven't seen before?
Yeah. Also, the first thing, how it works, it's like you have different targets. If you start with your submarine, some combat, and you have some detections, and you don't know. The detection can be everything. It can be just some other ship, some cargo transporter you maybe want to hunt. It can be some destroyer. It can be just some whale or just some ghost. So like nothing, because you are underwater, the waves are high, and we have storm or whatever. It's night, so it's very hard to see them. And you have some rotatable disc with some. Wait 1 second, I show it. Okay, I have it here.
Please.
I have here
And I'll say, even I have been doing some studies on World War II myself recently, and the radar back then was so rudimentary that even for Pearl Harbor, the United States had some indications that there were fighters coming of the Japanese, and they ignored it because they assumed that it was bad information from the radar.
Yeah, information is everything. You need to see, and you need to know what happened. And if you're in a submarine, you cannot just look outside. You have some periscope, but only if you are on the surface. You hear some strange sounds, and this is exactly what this game simulates. You have some enemies. What you don't see. In this case, this is how the game comes if you order the color version, and you have this little target disc holder, and all parameters are written in these fields. You have some little disk, and these you draw randomly depending onto your situation. Maybe you are in some friendly piece of the ocean, so you maybe have some 2 cargo ships, but maybe some mine or something like that, some sea mine, and maybe just 2 ghosts. But you don't know which of this disk you draw, so you draw them randomly, and without watching them, you're just putting them behind. And here you see.
So for people just listening, there's a top disc that has some cutouts, and then under it is the card with the information. And then as you spin the disc, some of that information will be revealed in the holes in the top card. But you're going to draw the disc at random from a few, I guess. So you don't know, you're not able to anticipate what's going to happen next as you spin the disc.
And the disk have 2 different kind of slots. They have something you can see, but there are some sliders on them. So you don't, at the beginning, you see nothing. And then if you say, okay, I decide I go on the surface and try to use my periscope, and I want to sight this target and another target. And if I'm able to do, then I can open the sight here, and then I can see it. Or I just do some sound scan, and then I can open the sounds field here, and I can hear some sound, but they can be wrong as well. So maybe if there are many different kind of targets there, and I can hear something, maybe they're also doing it wrong, and I think it's something sounds, and then really it was just a whale or something like that. And depending onto the behavior, this is the other kind of fields here. This is the reaction of the enemy, and if they find out that they're going to attack them and something happen, then they change their alert state. This is by rotating the disk, and then their behavior changes. If it's a cargo ship, usually they give full speed backwards and try to escape also. And if it's a destroyer, then they give full speed ahead and try to hunting you down. And different onto the behavior, you can suggest, okay, maybe it's also some airplane in the sky, because I cannot sonar detect him, but I hear something, and so you can try to find out what it is. And you have to make all the time very tough decisions if you want to attack or not, and because they can also hunt you and kill you. So it's like, in a real submarine game.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So that's another example of real originality. And I wonder how you communicate that originality and make sure that people, understand and are able to appreciate what you're doing and able to have fun.
One point is showing it in a really good way. And this meaning first making prototypes. This is why I built up the entire company here. So I can, if I go for 20, 50 or 100 prototypes, even with 3D printed tiles or laser cutted stuff, I can do my own, and I can send it to a tester and reviewer all over the world, and they can really take hands on and can see it. And the next thing is, it's basically what I do in Kickstarter. You have to do a video as well to showing it. And many video you absolutely need, but there are a big difference of people how they realize the video, and I really do that. The entire video is animated by my own. It was not bought by some company. Really did it with Blender. I used the graphics and illustrations from Paul, my Russian artist, and the entire entire scene where the books open and folding out. This was the most important thing to show how the book itself works, and the speaker explaining all the features. You have to think about how to tell somebody else about it. And one other important thing, especially if you do some interview like that, or just something YouTube video based, if you're talking about is what I think is the passion. If somebody talking with you and he really he know that you like games similar like he like maybe, and he just feel the passion and it's exactly what I try to submit. Then they get the point very, very quick. It's not just the hard facts. It's more about, I love games like that too. And if you played XCOM, for example, once and with your friends, and you can only play solo, and then we say, okay, we named this guy Markus, and he decide what he do, and Paul gets a panic attack and run away, and you have fun like that. And you want to have this feeling as a board game, like I make the feeling of the submarine game with Type 7. Then it's exactly what I want to deliver, and then the people can imagine it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So part of it is just general education, and part of it is being enthusiastic and showing your passion and having that passion reciprocated. That's really good advice. I also know, so I'm not a huge game player, but I do enjoy from time to time. And one of the games I like most is Ticket to Ride. Very simple, but I'm pretty sure that game is also German. And I get the sense that Germany has a very long history of board game culture, board game development. And I wonder if you could speak at all in general about that, and maybe how that may or may not have influenced you, and just the state of German gaming.
Oh, that's a very good question. Okay, I typical German games is a good question. I guess I'm more influenced by the not German games. I play chess, okay, but it's not a German game. It's a very, very old game, and the traditional games. I played Monopoly, I tried Run Risk, and all games like that. But the very interesting point in my development of playing games was the moment where I get some FASA was the name. I don't know if you maybe remember. There was some catalog with really advanced strategy and war games. And at that time, you don't have internet or something like that. And I remember I bought some Third World War game where you can shooting nukes and have submarines and such things like Risk, but just for adults. And at that time, you only have the normal games in the shops like Monopoly and such things, and family friendly games. Only exception was maybe Hero Quest and StarCrest. This was the only two big games where they really make, even in the normal video commercial and TV shows, they did showing that games. And this was the very, very popular games because it was the only one you can just buy as a normal children at that time. And I ordered games at that book, and it takes one time I remember it takes 1 year. 1 year later, I get some delivery and I have to pay it in cash, and I don't even know what it was. And then I open it. It was the Supremacy, very popular from the wargamer scene, some Third World War game. And I love that game, but I think the people don't play it parallel at the same time, so they have to wait. It takes very long, and it was just not so smooth that I like it. And I redesigned from the scratch, and I have, I don't know, 5 or 6 different variations from some Third World War. This is from one very high ranked game in my collection of games. I have to realize one day some very awesome Third World War game, like Risk for Advanced, like Supremacy, but in let's say in awesome and in new and in a good way. And and this opened my love to games like BattleTech, Squad Leader, the entire scene of role playing games. A friend of me told me about a role-playing game one time, about a half hour or something, that he started something new and what a role-playing game is. And all people I know they cannot imagine what is a role-playing game if you not try. If you try, you find out very quickly how it works. But if you just hear or read about it, how it works, and it's a little bit hard to imagine what a role-playing game is. And you know me, at the same evening he told me about, I set me on the table and said, okay, I write a role-playing game now. So I created a role-playing game and just imagine how it should work. And it was very close to what with the test and everything. I just get some little information from him. But based on that, I set up the role-playing game. And it's
how old were you?
In core, I was 11 or 12.
Was that your first game that you made, or had you started making games before that?
I made maybe some paper cut Monopoly where I don't know, or chess games where I see some Star Wars movie and they have some 3D chess, and then I start up building a 3D chess as well. And my grandfather have to test with me because he was the only one playing. My father have no time to play chess as well, but my grandfather have to test it with me. And I don't know. It's close like with my children now. So my oldest boy is now 9 years old, my son, and he I don't know, maybe 3 years ago he started making games as well. He come to me and tell me, okay, I have to laser cut him something, and I need some print. He do some 3D models as well. He did the very fine, cool here. This is a submarine from Type 7. He made with some.
Yeah. That looks
and he really love everything he as well. He used Blender doing some 3D tanks and everything what I do. If I make a game, he do the close same game in his way for children. And because he see what I do. And even my small one, he's 5 years younger, so 4 years old now. And already he come and sketch me things I have to do and laser cut, and he explain us some game rules. I don't know, I don't understand, but he have something in mind and we have to do it like he like. And it's just, but I have no person like that. I have some friends that just playing but not creating, and it's just some maybe just creativity. I just want to, if I hear some new music, some piece of music, and close my eyes, I just have some entire world, and I want to write a book or do something, and so it have to come out somehow.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Do you beta test your games online at all before there's actual physical version of it? I know that there's some ability to kind of make a virtual board game. And do you do any of that sort of testing?
I did with a Chibi Commander, for example, was complete playable with what was the name? I forget the platform. A very popular platform where you can rebuild your games virtually and then play it. It works, and I did it, but the most common thing to test games is I have groups my own here in my house and really play it together. So it's just more directly if you see the other and how he reacts and what he likes, and it's just closer. It's a little bit difficult now with times of Corona, but the last games was closed solitaire games, so you play generally alone. So it was much more easy to test them. The multiplayer mode, for example, we doing the as last part of the game now, and we're already testing it now, and it's very amazing. And we already play with audio only. And I just shot a book with stream, and we just talking together, because generally only one have to have the book in front of him, and the others have some sheets with their different rules. Because in the Space Kraken we have some very crazy kind of multiplayer. You don't just share the heroes. This would be just too simple. You can do anyway. Just say, okay, I command this guy, but I want to do something different. So I've added some mascot. As a second player, as some strange intelligent alien, and we even work on the way how it works. He can now evolve into different rays. He can go to being a mammal, some primate. He can go to be some bird-like, some insectoids, or some space creature. And the decisions he do and the skills he buy varies the way how he can play and interact. But he support the first player, so it's the most simple player to play, because you know, okay, you are good and you help the player. Because the second, this is the most interesting, is some broken AI or some artificial intelligence, and it's generally some crystal you found, but it have some broken thing, and it reacts very strange, and you don't know what he like. Sometimes he have some secret goals inside, so he know what he like, and the goals can be very differently. Like sometimes they want to kill you because they want to see how a human looks from inside or so, but in the other side they are connected with one of your crew members because they want to learn from you, and they're very damaged if they lose this connection and so on. So it's a very wide variety of how they interact with you, and if it's good or not. And you don't if you think he's bad, you can reset, so he come back just with with empty memory, but he gets stronger each time you reset. So if you just reset it, he gets overpowered very fast. So you have to make very tough decisions how to handle him. And for the player of the AI, it's very interesting because he have to decide what he do first. If he do first some very bad goal and solve it, then maybe the first player want to reset him, or he acting like very friendly until the moment he have to solve the bad goal. And he maybe can also think, okay, the goal is very hard to absolve, so please reset me. I want to have a reset. I want to have different goals. So it changes. And if he get all three goals together, then he gets some final goal. And this final goal can be vice versa to the first goal. He maybe want to protect the first player. He maybe want to be part of the crew and assimilate some crew member. He maybe want to kill all humans. You don't know. And you have to watch him carefully all the time. Like some, broken AI. You cannot calculate what he's doing next. And this is exactly what he delivers. And the last one, the Nemesis, this is some evil player. He wants to destroy the first player, so he lose the game and destroy all crewmates. And he's the evil one. He just planning long in advance and find some situation where he can trap you best, because he can influence the combat. He can control aliens. He can trigger entire combats and make them stronger and so on. But if he not plan it carefully, he cannot do much. But in a very bad situation, you're running out of oxygen and you have to go still far away until you can leave the location again, for example. And if he then triggers some combat and so on, then you get very trapped and have some serious issues, problems. And so just the one who have fun planning evil things, and he can already trick you all the time with some little things. So he can make it a little bit more difficult for you to come forward, and all player interacts together. And it's very, very interesting. And no game is the same in that case.
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed by the amount of layers that are built into the game, and it brings me back. I mean, you kind of answered the question already with the CGM that you developed, but even before the CGM, how do you conceptualize and organize? Because before you build the CGM, I imagine that you need some sort of organization and an idea of how many different factors there are going to be. So how do you, even before getting into the stage of the CGM, how do you lay it out so that it's manageable? Because when people are developing something so big, it could get unmanageable very quickly. Yeah. So how do you keep it so that it's manageable?
This was first I start planning the game mechanics itself after the CGM. So the really origin of everything was the CGM. Okay. And at the moment, I know what it can do, and that I want to go for some science fiction game. And I know, okay, I want to have worlds that I can discover. I want to have space combat. I want to have equipment. I want to have heroes with attributes, with skills. So I know, okay, what I want to pack inside. And then I separated it into pieces, because it's quite simple. It sounds very complex, but the each parts, how you handle your crew, is quite simple. They have just some slots. You put some weapon inside, everything. You have 6 attributes. One, the strength alters how many weapons you can carry and how much hurt energy you have. Agility is how fast they can react in combat, and just the basic things. And so you have the crew management, and another sheet you have the spaceship with the space combat connection, because if you have some shields, they're directly used in the space combat. And so it's like modular. So you have different sections of the game, like you have the enemy stand, and you have the story, and it's separated pieces. The important thing was that they have to work together, but I don't have some master plan because I know what I want to do, and I not have to plan it together. If I have to do it with another person, I have to make 10 times the work, because you have to write down, note everything, organize that he have the same status than you have, and it make everything much more complicated. And in that case, I have everything just in my head and writing it down, and after a few days, it was just finished. The only thing, I have a sixth attribute I added after on, charisma. I forget at the beginning, but I want to add, because in some story events, it's very important if you have some charismatic person. That was the only thing I generally changed about the entire layout. The rest was just some fine tuning, like changing weapon attributes, adding more weapons, and so on, just filling the grid of the game. But the mechanics just work together, and a little bit of fine tuning, and that's basically it. It sounds easier.
Well, it clarifies that. I think you broke it down to the main components. I mean, separated the story, and you knew how the game was going to function and the main parameters. And then within those parameters, you built out the layers. So structurally, that is an efficient approach, I think. And that's a great answer to my question. That clarifies for me.
Yeah, from top to down. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite? I mean, because this game, you were the writer, and I wrote it down here somewhere, but you were the writer, you did the CG work, you did the function of the game, and you did many aspects of the design. So do you have a favorite part of doing the design work between, the story and the function?
What I love most, there are, I guess, different things I love most. First, what maybe is the thing I love absolutely most is creating something out of nothing, because just your imagination is the thing that are your borders. And in cases of programming, or in cases of making board games, you can do everything. If you have the idea for and can realize it, and have the logic and the mechanic to do it, then you can do everything. And so really free. You have some idea. And the cool thing, especially with the prototyping machines I have, even with 3D miniatures and with other games, I can have an idea at the morning, and at the evening I have the entire game with printed color board and miniatures, everything like clothes like you're buying in a shop, and made, finished, because I have no long ways. I don't have to order some print and get it, and then it's the size is wrong and you have to order again, and it can take months or years, and I can just do in a month or so, I can develop an entire full-size game. And this is something I really love, to just do something without any borders, and I can do something strange. If I believe this idea is cool and I love it, I do it, no matter if there's something similar, and if people say they understand it, I don't take care about it. I do it. If the people understand it, okay. If not, okay, I make some awesome game. I make 30 years I make games, and no matter if somebody understand it or like it or even see it, because I love it, and my way, it's some art, and I doing it, and that's what matter and what I love most. And the second thing, story writing, is very interesting. Filling the game with some story, because I write very much. And what is the third thing is maybe to see how the game reacts if you play it, because it's much more than just the modules you write. The same happened. I guess that the first time where I was kicked from that effect was I writing in the, what was it? The 5th class. Also, I was very, very young, 11 years old or so. I started programming with QBasic. I don't know. It's a little bit the same time that you used to write in Pascal, some programming language. And QBasic, Quick Basic was some very simple programming language. Not much power and so on, and you have to write line numbers for each line of code. But I was playing a Space Hulk video game at that time, and was and I want to make some board game, like a strategy game of a Space Hulk. So I'm programming a own program in QBasic, how to paint with lines the creatures and the enemies, and I write some like some AI. Then now what they can see and what they react, and if they can go forward and attack you and reach you, then they do. If they cannot reach you, then they try to hide, and just implement some intelligence for the creatures. And then at the moment I played, they behave very like realistic. And because the complexity of all the rules, I programmed it, but I cannot say in advance what they're doing exactly. And they behave, and you have the feeling, wow, there are various aliens, they're attacking you, and they're so intelligent, and you really have that feeling, because it's just much more than just the rules. If they start living, you have the entire game gets some life inside. And this is quite interesting if you start, especially with this game. Some games I very like to play often as well, and this was with Space Kraken as well, because each time you have, even now all the story, I would say, if you think, okay, if I've played the story, even if it's 1 hour one times, then it's getting boring. It's not the fact. I play the game and love it, even if I know everything, because you have so many random effects, and each attempt is different, and every time I want to upgrade him, because then I can give him the bigger weapon, and it's just make you crazy, and you cannot stop.
It seems like your specialty is removing the ability of the player to anticipate. I guess even since you were 11 years old, you really tried to hide and obfuscate what's happening in the future of the game, and try to hide what's going to happen the next move.
Yeah. It's maybe if I'm going a little bit deeper, and I guess we're talking about very different kind of topics. It's maybe because I'm a mix between my father and my mother. Because
how so?
My mother. She grew me up, and I don't want to say something bad against her, but she's very simple-minded. Yeah, if I was a child, I'm hacking NSA, or I steal 1 million euros, so she just say, yeah, you're good, everything fine, because you cannot understand. I cannot even explain how to turn on a computer or so. But she's very emotionally. So she know what you're feeling, and she have some just imagination and some emotional thing in that way. And my father is one of the very most intelligent people I know. For example, I like some logic, mazes, and some things to solve, and they are very tough things to solve. And I collect them, and my father is one of the best persons able to solving that, because he very, very, very he plays chess and so on, and he's very intelligent in that way. But about emotional and the character is just nothing. So I lost my father if I was 10 years old, so they get separated, because everybody wanted, not go with that girl. She was the best, the worst devil you can imagine, and he can never say no. He can he's some very soft-minded. He cannot never get some own path and decide something or so. He just go the way with the least resistance, and so he go his way. And I guess maybe it's just the connecting between the logic thinking and the emotional part, because if I see something or hear some music or see some movie, I get very, very, very impressed by the feeling and thinking and dreaming about things, and what happened if in this Godzilla movie something else happened, and just imagine that it is real, and playing with that idea around. And then I going to like some engineer. This is the technical aspect again. Then I re-engineer everything how I would say it should work best, and then things like that happen. Yeah.
So it's the best of both worlds, kind of both.
I hope so.
Emotional, sensitive feeling, but also practical efficiency and logical.
I maybe have to say I'm not the guy going into public, the making advertisement and telling people about I can do, and it sounds like he's cool and he's so passionate because of his project. But I sitting down in my downside and just developing months and so, and people and just make it for the game, because I love it. I never can go outside and selling some electric equipment to some people or some strangers out working in a shop, because I'm very, very shy, and I just want to do my thing. Working with people together is not my thing, but I have to do the social marketing again anyway. So
your passion is contagious. I mean, you're smiling and you're talking about this game, and it's really inspiring to me too.
Otherwise, I think I would not like to do it. But because the theme is interesting and I love the thing, and it's just like my baby. It's really like our baby. From Paul and me, we are making jokes about that because it needs about 9 months to get to birth. Exactly, yeah. Because we have in March we have the final day, so it's closed at the same time. It's need all night because we're working both all night. You have some job as well, and yeah, so it's like our child, and we love it, and it make a lot of work. And someday it's finished, and we will have it. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you capture? I mean, you said that you get inspiration from a variety of areas, movies, music, games, interaction with people, everything, right? How do you capture the ideas and make sure you don't forget them and nurture them?
Yeah, Excel. I use Excel. I have some various long Excel sheets, and one point of them is just the ideas for board games, for example. It's not only board games. I have ideas for different from fun time parks, everything from crazy technical inventions, everything. At the moment, I just concentrate in board games because it's what 3D Art Lab's doing and what I can realize most easily without a lot of budget, because games I have the machines for and I can do that. But generally, I have many crazy ideas, and if I have some idea, I write it down. And if I just like and have the time for, I work on them, and that's how I collect them.
Yeah. And then that feeds me into my next question, which is, how do you manage your time? I understand you have a family, 2 kids. You had a full-time job that you were doing these games on top of. So you have personal, professional, and then hobby, but also producing, so much creative work. How did you balance that all?
The first thing is just not sleep. Also, time for sleep is very rare. So at the moment, I work 40 hours a week as engineer, 8 hours a day. And if I come home from work, I usually have time with my family, playing with my family. That's why if I'm playing board games, I play games which I can play with my child as well, and not going to some other board game groups and playing some games only for me. But Rio is already big enough, so I can play Dynogenics and other games that I like as well, and my wife. So we're playing that kind of games. And then we bring the child into the bed, and usually I have maybe 2 hours or so with family every day, and then they go to sleep. And all night until maybe 1 a.m. or so, I do working. And Saturday and Sunday is for me full work time. Sometimes, of course, we drive away or do something with the family. But generally, I just work more than even in my full-time job with 3D Art Lab, and not much sleep. But you can, if you get used to doing it like that, you can handle it. In the beginning, it's hard. It would be hard if I do 1 month nothing and then start working again. But if you are in speed, if you don't stop moving, the routine is great. And one important thing is it's just my hobby. It's what I love most. So I like it, and I do it basically because soon I can do working much less as engineer. And already September, I only have 28 hours a week work time as engineer. And if it's going on like that, maybe next year or so, I can say, okay, I stop it. I already can say stop it and doing only that. But I work 23 years now in that company, and I have to pay my house and everything. So it's just some backup. So I slow down it carefully. And if everything keeps on like that, I will do games only quite soon. And
how did you transition to the 28 hours a week? Did you just tell your boss and your employer, hey, I want to do my own company, or what was that like? First, I tried to get fired because. How do you try to get fired?
Okay, funny story. It was like that at the beginning of the year. I started working at Space Kraken, and there was because of Corona, and we have not so much work. They started a program that they want to small down. It's a very big company worldwide, leader of making machine building parts. We build machines, big machines that building motor blocks, electromotors for Tesla, for all big car company you can imagine. And they have about over 4,000 people in our company here in Mindelheim, and they want to get rid of, 100 people or so. And they say everybody. And the thing is, you get paid out, and depending on to how many years you work there. And I was 23 years there. So if they pay me out, I have enough. They can say, okay, I have to stop working for 2 years now, and I have all the time to build this up. But I already suggested for 95 or 99% that they don't want to let me go, because if you are good and they like you, they don't want to push you away. They just
You're too nice. You're too nice. You're too friendly. And
I have very, very bad people. They're just lazy or whatever, and they get 100,000 euro and go away because they're not worth for the company. And if you are good, and of course they say, no, why you want to go? We want to keep you. I should ask how much you want to pay that I stay here. But I don't ask, because anyway, it's not forever. So I already can see the end of the line. So, but that was the point why I pushed the prototype so fast forward, because I want to see how Space Kraken runs. But at the moment, it was already in Kickstarter, and now we will get the 100K, and it ran quite good. But they already deny that they don't want to cancel me. And the thing that with the working not so much is something it's based in the law here, so we have some right to do it. So they cannot say no in that case. We have some percentage, but not too many people doing it right now. And if you are not the only one, and they cannot replace you, and in this case, I'm an engineer of 200, 300 engineers. If you are the only physical doctor or whatever, and they need you for some specific reason, then you maybe have some trouble to shorten your work time. But in that case, it's nothing. Normally, you have to even wait 6 months to get that through. But I was lucky, and we make a deal, so I have only to wait 3 months. And August, we have only just June and July, and August is already holiday 2 weeks. So it's not even a lot of work. And then right in September, I'm slow down to 28 hours, and then I can give full speed here. And it's the perfect time, because I have a lot of work here. And so I can push it forward.
Yeah. Another question I have, this is like changing gears a little different direction, but I wonder what do you think life would be like, and your projects would be like, if it wasn't for 3D printing and some of the technology? Because, 3D printing in the scope of our lives is relatively new in being available to more people. Maybe the last 10 years, it's become something that people can have in their own homes. So, what do you think your projects would look like now? And what do you think your involvement and production of games would look like without that technology?
Oh, that's a question. Actually, I don't ask me that question, because I just get started with having that methods. That's a very big advantage.
Do you think you would have started?
Yeah, of course, but I made different things, I guess. I already start a lot of different things. First, I make some software, I make some apps for iOS, for Apple iPhone, and so on. But then I have had the case that you have to spend a lot of budget to make advertisement and to get it seen, because I have very cool ideas and little games that was already online. But if you don't make the big advertisement, you have no chance. And this is something I have to learn about many years, that you really have to promote your own stuff, because otherwise it's just worthless. And the case of programming is you need just bigger teams, you need a lot of budget, work sometimes over 1 year for some games. One time I make some with some physical engine simulation, some arcade shooter. Freakwave was the name. You can Google in YouTube, and with some physics, you have some gravity effects, exploding things, tractor beams, everything crazy. And I was working 1 year, day and night.
What is it called again? If people want to look it up,
Freakwave, like the monster wave. Freakwave. But you maybe have to add, because Freakwave, you find the waves and so on. You maybe have to add arcade or arcade shooter or 3D.
Is it on your 3D Art Lab channel on YouTube, or is it a separate channel?
This is a damn good question, because I have had different channels, but I take a look right now if it's online, and my video list here, I have it right now, because I have different kind of tech gadgets. I have multiple videos there. Now it's on another channel. No, actually not. But if you Google FreeGraph, or maybe I can search you a link for you later on, you can find it. And it's inspired by some old games like Guardian Legion for NES, Nintendo Entertainment System at that old time, or Famicom. And you have some top down where you see your spaceship and you're flying, and you have the mouse now, so you can you have some gun turrets, like some tank, and you can aim your gun turret separately. With the gun turret, you can shoot another weapon, and you can with some projector beam, you can take mines or something and moving and pushing and you have some implemented creators, so you can tile-based, you can build the entire maps to play through. And it was some very cool project, but based because it's so big, you cannot publish such game alone. And I developed it until the end and showed it at the games convention here in Germany, in Leipzig at the time. And Brian Christian was it from D3P, is a very big publisher. I guess they also make Fallout. He was the vice president at Fallout Tactics, where they make the games. A very, very popular guy, older at that time. I guess he's retired now. And he said, "Oh, it's so awesome! We want to make it for Xbox." Xbox was quite new at that moment, and I reprogrammed it for the Xbox controller for PC, so he can play the game and show it his company. In USA, I already make some travel ticket and everything to prepare to get the company involved. And then they have some fusion, the company changing and everything changing, and the project was off topic. I have some German company want to do it from RTL Games, from big TV channel, and they said, okay, we have 200,000 euro, you can develop it, we get some team for you, we have some company in Munich want to develop it, and they did something strange again, and the project gets lost. And so I was very, very close often to already jump into some game company and realizing my hobby as dream. And every time was something, have had no luck. But I was all the time believing, if I'm doing it long enough and making enough games, and one time I have the right spot and hit the market. And I guess now it's the time to get public.
Yeah. Well, now you have such a big audience for your things that your mind is creating and generating with your board games that maybe there's a chance to open it up to a wider audience as an indie dev. Yeah. So I guess without 3D printing, you would have still been creating games, just maybe in different spaces.
Yeah. Maybe more like color printed 2D games, is not with our big 3D models, but because it's quite expensive. You cannot just produce some prototypes. And this is one big advantage of my games, because I can really show them like they look in real. Even now, many companies, they just have some very simple looking prototypes without some much of illustrations on no models at all. And that's make it just a little bit more difficult to deliver the feeling and how the game will be at the end. And I can make them close like the final version. And this is some big help, because the tester, then now, okay, it's just a prototype. But even if they don't want to see it's not looking sweet, it's just the impression. You cannot control it. So if it looks good, then you have another feeling.
Yeah. And how do you, so you said that you have this Excel sheet with ideas for games, ideas for product development, all of these different ideas. And one of those tabs, I guess, is board games. And you said you have currently, in the beginning of our conversation, about 60 game ideas, right? So how do you prioritize which ones that you are going to go after and bring to your audience first? How do you make that decision?
That's like a mathematical thing, because you have different parameters deciding which to go for first. The first is, of course, the audience. If you have some cool idea, but only a very, very small peer group of people are interested in, that's not so good. So best, of course, you have something like this science fiction genre, just everybody interested in. Then it depending on to your abilities. Can you realize it, or do you need some help? And as example, in this case, I show you one thing else. This was the way how I met Paul. He made the artwork for Type 7, the submarine fighting awesome. With the landship. And he did some awesome war paintings like that, some Navy ships battling in World War II. And
yes, so Marcus,
it's
for people
very,
just
very stunning
listening,
the way.
yeah, for people listening, Marcus is showing me, I guess it's an acrylic painting of a submarine.
He did it on computer, but it's printed on some
Wow, yeah, that looks
canvas.
like it's done with. It looks like it's done with a brush. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's just the effect. It really looks like it's hand painted, and yeah, he doing. I ordered one. I just searching for a good artist and find Power and ask him to doing one cover, and he very fall in love with the project so much that he say yeah, he want to do another cover, so I get another second artwork in portrait scale. Same awesome as that. And later on, if I was starting with Space Kraken, I have had the issue, if I decide if I want to go with it, I have to find some artist, because if I cannot deliver the artworks, I have some serious problem. And so I need some company. And that's why I ask. Yeah.
At that stage where you're seeing what your capability is for a certain idea, are you testing your capability for multiple ideas at one time? Like you have 3 options and you're seeing which one's the best based on your capability, or are you just focusing on Space Kraken at that point?
I have 2 or 3 projects that I would say, yeah, I can go with them. And the first one I start clarifying was already Space Kraken. And I asked, because I don't need a lot of time to search for an artist, because I asked Paul first time just accidentally, because maybe he doing, I guess he just do some Navy paintings, because he have some entire channel only with this Navy and ship warship paintings. So I think he just loved that, and that's everything. And I asked him, and then he showed me he loved Warhammer 40K, okay, does very, very crazy stuff like that, science fiction, and exactly what I was looking for. And then I was talking with him, and yeah, he have a full-time job as well and doing the artist thing as backup. And I was talking with him about and have some inspirational speak. We just was talking about a week ago about that again, where I take him and make him joining my team and make it with cooperation with us, because you have to believe that it works. We don't know what Kickstarter does. Maybe I get not funded and then he get nothing. He working months for nothing. And I was I have had the dream how the game would be, but I just have the technological prototype with Excel sheets and no illustrations, nothing, just some dummy illustrations. And then I told him about my idea, and last time we just the estimation was exactly I want to hit at least 100k. That was my super goal. If it was already just 60k, it's already very fine. If I just get 10k or a little bit above 10,000, it was already okay, because we get new community and implementing a new game. But I was believing, depending on to how the response was and how much prototype I was able to deliver, and just about everything, and about the subscribers on Kickstarter before the page get launched. It was 6 times or 8 times more than we have had with Type 7. Type 7 have had with after sales 60,000 euro. So I know, okay, for sure it would happen. But you have to believe. Nobody, even my wife, I told her about what I'm doing, science fiction, and she asked me, okay, and you think it would work or so? Yeah, it's nobody just say it work. You have to believe it. You have to do it. You work a month, spending thousands of euro, getting some company and so on, and everything depends on to you. I told Paul, no, I'm German. I do not suggest we plan things. And, and we hit it right. Even better, it works better than that we planned. So everything's fine. And the lucky thing was, I get Paul. The other things are, I have some layout designer that helped me learning InDesign, doing the design of the book. Basically, he taught me how to handle it. Now I can do the most in InDesign as well. And he just working, but he's just some free design, some freelancer. I have some some music artist found out later on. He's doing now the entire soundtrack. Just today we upload a very cool soundtrack, some ambient soundtrack, at our last Kickstarter update. And you can listen to it with the Kickstarter trailer video, but with another soundtrack. And it's a very, very different impression. You have the same video again, but you have this, emotional, slow down, relaxing space theme. You have to listen to it. It's quite awesome. It's right in our 3D Art Lab YouTube channel. And that was the luck. And the most important thing for everybody who was thinking about creating something, of course, you can find somebody. If you cannot, for example, if you cannot program, but you need a programmer, okay, you can go for one. But basically, my suggestion is you need to know how to handle each topic, and you have to handle the programs and the things on your own as well, because if you know how to do it, you know how to instruct. I cannot paint. If I paint some dog, it looks like an elephant or so. But I know I can design technical things. Yeah, I can make some awesome tanks or whatever, or geometric space stations that I can do very awesome. But if everything is living or biological, don't ask me to paint it. But I can tell Paul exactly what I like and what I don't like, and just guide him. The same with the programmer. If I have some company programming the app or so, I can tell them exactly, and I can even program and can, give me the source code, and I check if you're just doing some stupid things or just need to clean up the code or so. And you have the experience to control it. Same with the layout. You just have to need some feeling. Otherwise, you have some freelancers and they're doing different things, and you cannot hold it together. And then you have some mix of things that just don't fit together. And yeah.
Right. You need to hold together one vision and be able to direct that vision. So I guess two follow-up questions to that. And I'm glad that you brought up all of these great people who you're working with. One is, how do you find those people? And then, well, I guess maybe the first one should be, how do you decide which aspects to outsource? For example, the layout of the book and the design. I'm sure you could have done it, but maybe not as well as the designer. So at what point are you deciding this is an aspect, this is an area where I need somebody else's help and somebody else's expertise? And then how do you find those people? Is the second question.
Okay. About the first question, at the beginning, because I was used to do everything myself, I tried to do just everything on my own. So nobody was able to help me, maybe some proofreading or so, but I just do everything myself. That is something you learn as well. I remember my father was about 12 years old or so. He bring me 20 discs with 1.4 megabytes on each disc from Saudi Arabia, where he was working. And he don't have time to do so much things with me because he don't living with us, but he spent me some computer and he bring me the software from Saudi Arabia with 3D Max. This was some 3D studio for animation and so on. Everything English. I don't speak about English. I have no book, nothing, no internet. And I just try. I click and see what happened, how I make some sphere and how I can cut some objects and how to render, and there's some button and then we have some light, and I just try everything out. The same with programming. And so I just teach everything my own, and that's maybe one point because why I want to give it forward. So if I have somebody else and you want to learn something, not even my own children, even if I have some children of a friend and they want to play a music instrument but have no time, I say, okay, I give you a crash course playing violin for free because I just want to deliver that. Because I all the time I want to have somebody understanding what I do and maybe sharing and have the community, but I never have, and there was no internet and nothing, and I just have to do it on my own. And it's come very late that the company that at the moment I was already professional, what I would say, that the people say, okay, then they come and then they respect it and then they want to learn and so on, and you have to get some company. And the company, I search on different platforms. Like for game testing as well, you can send thousands of prototypes away, and you really have to find the people doing it good, and you just have to try out, because some they say, okay, they give you plenty of feedback, and then you don't hear anything about them, and you're producing prototypes and just for nothing. So you just have to take care of how to find some company you can rely on. And with a project like that, they come from themselves. They're just involved into the project, and they understand or have the same dream than you and want to have the same product. And then they come like some IT worker from Swiss. They say, I built up some Discord channel for you for free. So he make the entire server with the bot and everything. So we have some platform on Discord. And this was, I don't even have the idea to get started with that because I was so busy with that. And the people come there, and I make some for patent for a technological innovations, draftings, because I'm a learned draftsman originally, and I work for some I don't know the name, the people who write the patent. It's a very difficult way how to write and formulate it. And some other people go to him and ask him to write the patent for him, and I make the drafting for them, and sometimes some video animations as well. And that guy come to me, and then he knows somebody else. And this guy was the layouter, for example, study design at the moment. So I meet the layout designer. Paula was just freelancer. The graphic artist was difficult to find. I just write every artist I can find, and it's very crazy. You can find some artists working in India for $20, and you can find some artists in no matter USA for $500 per hour.
Right.
And you really have to find somebody you can pay, have the same feelings, and like to work with you, and and even if you find they maybe don't have the timeline and so on. And Paul already know that I'm going to hire him, so he not allowed to cheat with me and find some other company, because he is already full in. And otherwise I sent the Kraken to Russia. I already told him. So no, I have some company.
Did you find him on Instagram or some other website specifically?
No, it was DeviantArt, the graphic platform. Yep. Yeah, but I write about 50 artists or so, and maybe get feedback of 4 or 5 or so. At that moment where I was looking for Type 7, I already was searching for artists. Sometimes I was using freelancer.org or .com to find somebody, but it's very difficult to find something like that. Audio speaker is much more easy to find some good native speakers, but it depends. So, but I just keep the ones I found, and the connections are sharing. The interesting thing
network,
is,
huh?
Yeah, the network, it comes automatically. Since I have 3D Art Lab, I have so much connections of people I built something for, and they help me, and they get some inside information as well. And I asked, for example, Terraforming Mars. I asked that there are 2 brothers making the game, and I asked them, and they was absolutely friendly. Yeah, of course I can make the set. And they told me about the next extra what they bring out, and also told me secrets, what coming in future and so on, and was quite friendly. And if you're talking with the people, it's quite awesome. And with Terraforming Mars, I was sold about a little bit more than 200 pieces, and I don't use BakerKit organizing the address and everything. I write everybody an email and write personally with them, asking what I can do for you, what do you like, what do you think about the game. And the feedback was just awesome, because they have really contact with the creator, and there was so much positive response. It was quite a lot of work, about 3 weeks or so. I just write
can only
emails.
Imagine, yeah.
But the feedback was just awesome, and that how I start the first community, and based on that, everything is growing. And every euro I get, I invest back in my machine park so far. So it was growing in 2 years to what it is now, and it's still developing in that way. But finding company is quite important, especially if you need some. It's a little bit difficult. You need somebody that have the skill for, and have the passion for, and not just the moment at one time you have to push him that he go forward, and not want to spend energy. Somebody have to run from himself, and that's not so easy, because many just do a job. They get some fixed payment, and they just do it, and they're not used to if I want to reach something, I have to do it. And so you really have to take care, find the company, and make them involved in the project. And it's a very, very tough thing.
Yeah, but it seems like you've been successful in getting everybody involved, invested in the project, and kind of giving them some of your passion so that they're just as passionate about contributing. And like you said, not just getting a paycheck, but contributing and creating something collectively. So it's an awesome platform that you've created and brought, other creators into, but also your audience and players. Yeah. So are there any games or concepts that you have on the on the stove burning next to Space Kraken that are going to come soon, and anyone
I have to
talk about?
That's a tough thing. What I can say, what is absolutely clear already at the moment is the CGM engine is working quite good. So and people are already asking for some evil fantasy science like Castlevania as some CGM game,
Cool.
and some end time game like Fallout based on CGM as well. So I guess Space Kraken will be first. I deliver that very well, and it have to be a perfect game. And then if I have a community of over 2,000 people playing that games like crazy, for sure they're already waiting for some second game and third game. So I would start working maybe already end of the year if I'm lucky, if I can start working at such a title after that, because then it's only, I guess, production and proofreading and so on, and not so much intense work on my side. Just checking it, of course, and take an eye on the production and so on. But generally, I guess at that moment, maybe Xmas or so, I have time to get started with another one. And maybe the next year at the same time, I don't know if two at the same time or with a little delay or so, because maybe I have two ideas, that the Fallout and the fantasy thing, and both are just awesome. And if I can find maybe free power entirely, so he don't have some full-time job and can try doing twice the amount, or maybe find some artist fitting to the second game. So maybe doing two games at the same time, and soon going to doing it only full-time, and I cancel my job next year. This is what I plan. But I also have other games what I really want to realize, and they just have to be delayed on some reasons. For example, what I can tell, and it's already testers have got it. There was some game called Metal Marines. I don't know if you know it. It's some very classic. Yeah, your eyes there, no?
No, I don't. No. Please tell me.
It was looking like that. Yeah. It was some. You have two islands, and it was Super Nintendo at the time, or PC. There was some version as well, and you're fighting island against island, and you have some rocket launchers and different things. Some battle robots. You can fly to the other island and walk on ground, and they have some gun turrets firing against the tanks, and you build up some missile defense walls so the enemies can come through, like a little bit like some battleship, but with a real strategic war game scenario and as video game. And there was never some kind of board game with that effect. It's a bit difficult to place it in a board game, because you have the same again, you have some fog of war, like, because you don't see what the other building up in their base as well. And I developed the game entirely, and it's already full functional. We have around 30 prototype tester and so on, and already get the feedback, and it was close to production. But then we get Corona, and producing in China is a little bit a problem. So I say, okay, no, I want to go with from project I can realize here on my own. And I stuck the little box series as an example. And so it get delayed. But this is just on ice. Generally, anytime I can go there, just take it out of the box and make it ready and make promotion and make some final design, of course. But the maps are already painted. It looked like close final game. And I just have to take it out of the box and realize it. And it's some game I really love. And you play it with two people. And it's just awesome. And I have some, another thing, if I have to talk about two games, I have some Monopoly-like game, but in Evo, with some, just not the children version, I can say, just the adult version. And it's a game, the only game I developed in German, because normally I develop everything in English. After I tried one time to have two language versions at the same time, because you get crazy. You have to keep both updated in the same time, and what is actual, and it's just crazy.
Extra work,
it's 4 times the work and doing one language. And so I do everything in English, because the English the German testers can speak English as well, so it's no big problem to have it in English. And it's just important for the final version, especially in case of Space Kraken, if you have some text-based novel, they want to read it in their native language, so German is no issue. But this Monopoly kind of game. It's like lyric. It's written like not like some normal rule book. It's just set in some fantasy world, and I cannot write lyric in that case in English. So I write it only in German. And if I realize it one day, I have to find first somebody. You have to be native German and native English also, because you have to be able to understand the very high German written text and poetry, and have to deliver the same with the same grade in mother language English. So it's getting quite tough to realize it. This is the only big thing about this game, as example, what I need to solve somehow, because I would say I don't want only make it in English, in German, because it would be a waste to have it only in one language, because it's just awesome. Everything else we played, it's just awesome. Everything ready. It's just stay here in the next table. But I guess I have to wait. The problem is I want to make 1,000 games, and in the time I realize in one project, just 1 month is passing, I have idea for 2 new games. I can never do games like many like that, but yeah.
It's exponential. Do you think that you'll increase your output 2 or 3 times if you're dedicating all your time to this?
If I have, and if I have more company. The next thing what I'm going to hire is some secretary doing all the paper stuff, all the organizing stuff, the writing stuff, and that will save a lot of work time. And with that situation, I guess I can realize 2 big games like Space Kraken per year, just estimated if I'm doing it full time. And if I have some, for example, some more writers and more artists and so on, I maybe can go higher. It's already crazy if you think you have teams with 20 or 30 people working years for one title. And I do one game after another. And I just cannot realize them so fast, and I have the ideas for. So I just have to pick the best ones. And maybe it's one reason because why I have some purse, and it's so good games, because I just take the best off. Of course, maybe I have some ideas that are maybe not that perfect, but I have so many out of that. It's like if you're making photos, if you make just 5 photos from a portrait or so, and you make 500, the chance that you get the right shot is just much bigger. Yeah.
Right. Do you think that you'll expand on the CGM at all as a game system? Is it something that you want to create a new version of, or expand upon the existing version?
Do you mean changing the CGM itself in the core?
Yeah. To add to it, or to make a version 2 that's built up from the foundation.
Yeah. I guess the CGM would not change too much, because I think about how to optimize it, of course, but the core is quite simple. Works. And the connection to the game mechanics, just depending on the game mechanics, it's like some engine. You can take it out and have this artificial scripted storytelling mechanics, and you can put in something quite different in a novel for teenager girls. It will work the same. We have some maybe just no strategy effect, no like board game effect, no role playing game, but you have a book with some intelligent story, and that will work as well. So you can make so much of it. Of course, I have some other games I want to make as well, but I guess the CGM would be a series, and we would have a lot of games in that way.
Yeah, that's exciting. Well, we're coming up on 2 hours here, but I have one more question if
Crazy.
You're okay.
No matter. It's late already. Why not? Here it's 1 a.m. in the morning. But no problem. I'm used. Before you ask one question, I have one funny story for you as well.
Please.
Launching a Kickstarter campaign of 100 key, if you're doing it alone, is a little bit like launching yourself in a spaceship. People asking me how it feels, and it's the same, because you don't sleep. You always, all the time, you have to make difficult decisions. All the time you get emails, message incoming, people want to know something, want to get something explained. I was not sleeping. Especially USA is like now, late in time. So all the night, the first 3 nights, I was sleeping more than 30 minutes or so. I was staying up again and checking commands and writing again. And I already made the decision, if I do the next project, and I guess it's getting bigger again, then for sure I have a company of 3 people or so. Just knowing the entire project can answer questions and so on, and keeping care about that issue, because you really have to take care about the project, and that the people recognize that. There was a lot of feedback, and especially because I'm the design and everything in person, I can just take care about it. If you see the Witcher project, like now, if you say, no, I want to have, can we have a little bit other game mechanic or so, they cannot change anything. They work for a year at the project and everything is fixed. And in my case, I can just take care about that. For example, we have had people coming and say, yeah, everything is fine so far, but they want to have some reward level only with the essential books. So not I have at the beginning the basic book in Kickstarter, some deluxe version with some art book and some extra stuff, that is just nice, like the usual deluxe version, and some epic version with everything. But then people coming and say, it's so bad, you don't think about some essential version just with the books for gameplay reasons, and I don't need some notebook and art book, even if the art is awesome. I just want the gameplay elements. And first they was looking like angry because they don't get what they want, but then in that case, I just can say, yeah, okay, tell me what you like exactly. And then they will start discussing, because they were not even sure what is essential. If the dice are essential, the other ones say, no, dice I have at home. And the other ones say, yeah, but the race compendium, the creatures are important for the game as well. Those are essential. And they start to discuss, and we make some voting and what they like. And then we come up with a standard essential with the book and the stretch goals and the things that are required, like the tokens, because they think the most essential
even though the Kickstarter was live, everything was still quite dynamic. You were still shaping it.
Exactly. And I take care about them, and everything was happy. If you listen to the people and take care about them, even if you sometimes cannot do something, but you can understand them, then they understand you and everything is fine. They said the stretch goal I've added a poster, a stretch goal, some folded poster, and they say, yeah, I have so much folded poster, and folding a poster, you have to see the lines, and I like just some postcard size. A multiple of postcard size artworks are much better. Yeah, I change it, no problem. And so I take care about what the people say. The same with the Type 7. They say, I may normally the submarine is 63 centimeters, like really, really big. And they say, yeah, can I disassemble it and put it back in the box? And I say, oh, no. Okay, so I redesigned it just in time. And the day after I have, okay, now you can just separate it, no problem. And so the feedback comes and they get what they like. And I have some box for the ammunition and so on, but others want some deluxe version. They want to have for every token for the crew, some extra token box, and so say, okay, why not? I created it for them, and they get what they like, and they generally just get the feeling back that I listen to them and take care about the issues as well, and this works quite good.
Yeah. Do you have any? Now I have two questions. Do you have any other advice for kicks? I mean, that's great advice to listen to your audience and make adjustments and communicate clearly with them and understand what they're saying to you. Do you have any other advice for running a Kickstarter? Because you have had 7 so far.
Yeah, a lot of. If you want to create your own Kickstarter campaign. Okay, first, you have to do your calculation quite good, because it's a lot of work, more work as you suggest, because you think in some topics, but it's the same with everything in life. If you want to open some restaurant, you think, okay, it's easy, you get some money, you just need 2 people doing it. But all the cleaning up, the bureaucracy, the paperwork, you have no imagine, and it always coming something on top, and you don't believe it. I was playing open some paintball stadium one time just for fun, because I love paintball playing and so on. But then working at some just for fun and joining the team there. And if you start cleaning up and doing all the macro work and so on, you know what's behind it. So it's much more work. And I have had, during the time I make the custom set for Terraforming Mars, I make, how was it? It was 43,000 euro, and I sell a little bit more than 200 pieces. And the same company, Munich, close here, German as well. And I was talking about with them with some prototype manufacturing. That's why I now am running the project at the same time. And they have generally a card game with some cards and a little bit plastic miniature, one or a few pieces inside. And they sold a game for, I guess, 20 euros or so, the 10th time of it. And they get 20,000 euro or so, but they have to deliver over 2,000 units. So I now start packing and delivering 2,000 units. And if you calculate the production price, the developing price and everything, you're working for maybe 2 hours an hour or so, €2 per hour as payment. And you have no idea how much work it is. Even with the custom terraforming Mars set, it's 200 boxes with about 2-3 kilo each. And you have different components and you have to sort everything together. My wife was helping me nights long, over weeks. She was packing the sets together. It's just amazing much work. So you have to
I went through some of the updates for the Type 7 fulfillment, and I saw your organization for all of the different pieces that were going to come together in each box. Yeah. And wow, it's a lot.
You have no imagine about how much 200 or 2,000 pieces. It's a lot of work, and you have to calculate it. And for example, especially if you have to involve more people to realize some project, the workload is sometimes not just multiple. If you do, for example, a video game, and you say, okay, if you reach some stretch goal, you get doubles the amount of money, and you can use it for programming because you not have to have some manufacturing or so. Okay, good plan. And you say you double the story, and you double the heroes. Then it's not 4 times the work because you say you do double it 2 times. The problem is the heroes infect the story again, the story infect the heroes again, then you can multiply it together, then you maybe have it 8 times, but then you cannot do alone. So you need company. If you order in, but if you have a team, you need only one just doing the organization, then you maybe are landing with a squad of 5 people maybe, and each of them are not working as the same with the same efficiency if you're doing it alone, because you have the communication and everything, and they maybe have not the same thoughts than you have, and at the end you have 10 times the effort just by doubling the hero count or so, and you can easily forget about that. And so you have to make the plan it very carefully. Most important, advertisement. If you don't share your idea and cannot share it, you really have to see it as a stranger. Nobody see your game before, nobody have an idea about it, and you have to lay it on the table, and even without saying something, they have to first say, wow, what is it? This is the first good effect. And then you have to be able to deliver the message. And you have another point of view, and you have to try to to see it from the side of the customer, never see the product before. And I make mistakes. I just make all mistakes before once, so I know what not to do. For example, at the Freakwave video game, one funny, it was not serious issue, but a little effect. I was programming it 1 year, and all the time I'm flying with the spaceship. And if you give some thrust, it just keeps on flying. And relatively, if you have some air or not, it maybe slow down slowly. And you have to drift and so on. And the movement is quite complicated because you have the mouse at the same time, have some tractor beam. But I playing it every night during programming. So I'm playing around maybe 5 hours a day, 1 year. So I spent thousands of hours, and everybody testing the game told me it's so damn difficult. I cannot just fly straight. There was I guess it's some big gateway, because even if it's so small, I can just fly through, no problem. And it was that, and they're flying dunk, 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 and say I cannot handle it. And I say, why? It's so easy. Because I just played it 1,000 hours.
Because you made it, yeah.
Yeah, and you not imagine that if you not take care about it. It's just, so you have to ask somebody is helping. If you have something strange, to you just ask them, give you some feedback is quite important. And changing something. Even if you have some idea, and even if you think it's good, if not something is not fitting perfectly, not go with it. Just even if you have to throw everything away and start back from the scratch, you do it. It's no matter the price, it just have to be perfect. And it can be frustrating. Luckily, I don't have so much things like that in the last time, because it's more like I draw and it's just a hit. But if you have it, you just have to redraw it, and you have to take our feedback very seriously, so you can get some feeling about.
Yeah. Oh, that's really helpful feedback, I think, because a lot of people listening to this podcast are interested in their own
company. Company, and what I was at Tasmania, this was some programming contest one time for some semi-professional programmer, hobby programmers, and there was some little crew with some two programmer, one artist, and me, and one girl. She was artist generally and was doing some layout design, but I guess 80% of the time she just running through us, clap you on the shoulder, hey, wow, awesome, tell me what you do, and just motivating all the people. And then we have never had such a rush and was motivated. It was so awesome to building games because we have just the support. She was just a supporter, and finding somebody give you some momentum and push you forward is quite important as well. If you have not the drive your own, I'm just get used of that. I can work 1 year without anybody involved because it's just my way to work. But even if I can do it, I love it if I get some feedback, of course. If people say, now they understand what I'm doing and the feedback comes, but it's like a self-fulfillment prophecy that it comes after on. So first you have to do it. Nobody believes you, and you just have to believe in your project and have some imagination that hits the reality, hopefully. And as example for Paul, he don't know, he gets some percentage for sure because he have a big amount of the entire workload of the project realization, but it would be possible that I just get 20 or 10,000 euro funding, and I say, no, okay, you get some minimum. I trust you, we get that, and even if I have to pay it out of my own pocket, I believe in this project, you get it for sure. So we just go for it. You have to believe. You have to make the first step, and you have to deliver it in a good way and in a professional way. And just in any case, it's just difficult to do everything because if the video is not looking good, it's bad. Even if the video is good and the artwork is good, I have a friend company with some you in the States as well, and doing some project close the same time right now, and it looks awesome. If you take a look, a very cool artworks. It's a role-playing game extension, but they don't I don't know, 2,000 or 3,000 euro they get the first day, and I guess it's very close if they make it. They're still fighting. They want 10 or 12,000 euro to found it, or dollar, and it's very close. But it's very interesting because I'm talking with them why it doesn't work so far. They have, for example, I don't know, 20 different pledge levels because for every different combination, and you have to keep it very, very simple. I already think I have too much. Now with the essentials, I want to keep it simple, but it's okay. Others don't take care and may have 15 different, but generally the more simple, the more easy it is. Right. And you have to give the impression of what the game is quite fast, because you can write it good, but it doesn't matter. The people give it 5 seconds. It's the same that I do checking Kickstarter. I make some scrolls, and if my impression is something interesting in some way, just by watching the image and the illustrations and so on, then I check the video maybe first, and then I read the text in detail. And if you not catch them in the first, even if just the cover illustration is bad, then you can forget about it. And the second thing is you just have to start and develop slowly, because you need the company to get pushed forward, but you don't get the company if you the follower if you're not popular. Same if you are making YouTube videos and podcasting, whatever. You have to get a popularity level, and then it's like a snowball effect. It's with Space Kraken. It's like, if you make some advertisement in one channel and people see it, okay, they just see it once, nothing special. But if you then have some another podcast or some other magazine and people seeing it twice, okay, they heard about it a week ago, and then a friend telling them about them, and the same if a second friend and
comfortable with the idea and concept.
If one body tells you some story that happened all the time about a game or whatever, even if it's interesting, but if the second or the third people coming to you and tell the same, then you think it has to be something special. Everybody's talking about it. And then you have a quite different impact. If you get the impact and the budget, for example, now with the 100 key is very important because already before the last days where the hype starting, it just looks different. If you have a 6-digit number, it's a very big project. We have unlocked so many awesome stretch goals. It have a quite different appearance to the audience, and it's just some self-fulfilling prophecy. Then it works alone.
Yeah. It's funny though, because you said, you're shy. You said, I don't think you're shy, but you said you're shy and can't go out there and sell it, but you do such a good job with your projects and making sure that it is striking and that it leaves a good first, second, and third impression. So you did a wonderful job of strategizing and using what you've learned over the course of your Kickstarters. It's very obvious. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just have heard one tip one time. You should not learn out of your mistakes to make it better. You just should learn to fail harder. So, but I guess I have failed enough. So yeah. Okay. Any more questions? I guess.
Yeah, just the last question, which is totally going a different direction, is there anything right now that inspires you? Are you into anything sci-fi related or otherwise that you're really interested in and can recommend? That's, movie, TV show, comic, another game, whatever it may be. What are you?
Something what I guess you already heard. Two things maybe, but I guess many people heard. Love, Death and Robots. I guess you know the series.
I haven't. Yeah.
No. Okay. That's some very awesome series. It's I don't know how many episodes. I guess about 12 episodes or so, or 10 episodes, and everything have to do something with science fiction, love, and robots, as it says. And animated.
I think I watched
movies.
1 or 2. Yeah. On Netflix, right?
Yeah. And all of them are quite awesome. Some are very, very, very special. And they deliver they have some crazy basic idea, like somebody having some miniature world in the cooling box, and they open and they see maybe the airplanes flying like some insect or so, and the time goes very fast, and they see how they start from this Stone Age or so, developing civilization and so on in their cooling box. Refrigerator, or how to say in the States in English, sorry, of it, especially in this little box. And they're developing, and in the end they have some war, and you have some nuke, and they get some sunburn because the nuke is exploding in the cooling box, and such crazy ideas like that, and very different kinds of how they're animated. They have different studios involved, I guess, and now they have the second episode, the second
season
series, or the season in English. But I don't started to see it. I see the first season, and I just find out that they have the second one. The other thing what I very like is Loki series as well. I guess you maybe see it. Loki was one of my favorite characters.
No, I just
Tom
watched.
Hiddleston. Yeah,
I watched Ragnarok, the Norwegian show recently. But is it Loki related to the Norse mythology?
Yeah, but from Marvel, from the Avengers, this Loki version, who played by Tom Hiddleston. They make a series with him in the main role, and I just see the first episode 2 days ago, and I very, very catch me because it's the atmosphere, everything, how they handle it, and he as actor and everything is just awesome. This very, very catch me. And what else? Yeah, maybe one secret tip, not so popular, but I guess maybe under the fans already know it. The Orville. I don't know if you know it. It's like Star Trek, a spaceship called the Orville, and they do just everything what they don't allow to do in Star Trek, because they're going to toilet and feeling in love and doing crazy things, and some android learning some how to act as a normal human, and he want to find out what is humor and what means to trick somebody, and somebody tricking him and making evil jokes, and he another one then he trick him back, and he wake up in the morning, stay up from the bed, and just fall down because his left or right leg is away because the robot cut the entire leg away in an operation as joke because it's very funny. It's things like that, very, very, very crazy. And they just don't take care about the normal things of human behavior, that it have to be fine and not rude and so on. And they just do some crazy stuff, what you want to see in some Star Trek series before. And yeah, that's very cool.
I'm going to check that out for sure. And also the Love and Robots, I've been meaning to watch it. So I'm glad that you recommended it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay. Well, where can people find you, and any parting words? The project has just a few days left, and I'm going to release this episode on Monday, which is the 14th.
Okay.
So, and
I'm already on Monday. Here's already Monday. Thursday the campaign will end. If you search for Space Kraken in Kickstarter or in Google, if you enter Space Kraken, you find it. You find Google, you find my YouTube, you find my Kickstarter project page, and you can go in. Even if you listen to it later, we will have some after sale as well. And there are also some retailers, so you can get the game as well later on, and I'm going to sell it after on so as well. So even if you hear it in a month or so, you should be able to get it. It's also get delivered because we're still developing it to the final version in March next year. So it's about like getting baby 9 months and then we have it. And you can search 3D Art Lab. Just written together with a DE, that's the German internet address, and you land onto our generally page where you can also see the Type 7 submarine game and so on, which we are. It's one funny last story maybe. Always I want to start production of my previous game after Kickstarter to sell it, or open a shop to sell the stuff. But then the next campaign going so overboarded that I just have no time. I still have not opened my internet shop, but people ask me, they see the submarine game. So just send me an email. I can still produce it. So I send it out as long as I have time. Maybe take a week or depending on the order, but I can take care about orders, even if I not have had time to open a shop yet so far. But if I have some secretary soon, I hope somebody can take about these issues and open my shop as well and so on. But for sure, you will be able to get the recent games I made. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'll link to those in the show notes, and you'll definitely be able to find Markus and all of his great projects pretty easily, just a Google search away. So Markus, thank you so much for joining me and staying up so late to have this conversation. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much as well. I wish you a increasing followership, and we will stay in contact. I guess soon we have to talk about something else. We have so many projects, so this is for sure not the last time. It was very nice. So greetings to the States. Yeah.
Yeah. And until next time, enjoy your random, and we look forward to the next time you join us.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Markus. Hey, my fellow randoms. Thank you for hanging on just after we wrapped up this 33rd episode with Markus Geiger of 3D Art Lab. And you can follow him and his projects on 3dartlab.d as in David, E as in entertainment, 3dartlab.de. That was a really fantastic episode. I think Markus's enthusiasm was contagious and intoxicating. He's just has so much positivity and energy despite not sleeping all that much because he's working so darn hard on these projects. And he gave a lot of really good responses, advice for fellow creatives, how he approaches these projects and how he approaches these Kickstarters. And he is on his 7th Kickstarter here with Space Kraken. And in regards to Kickstarter, the one takeaway that was most impactful for me is listen to your audience and communicate with your audience and take what your audience says seriously. So Markus said he even makes changes to his campaign mid Kickstarter mid-campaign in the throes of the busiest things, one of the busiest things you're going to be doing to fund a project, maybe one of the busiest things you're going to be doing in your life. And he'll take feedback during that process and make changes to the finished product or some of the offerings attached to the finished product based on community feedback. And think about it, the audience that is funding you, supporting you on Kickstarter, they are really invested in whatever it is that you're bringing to fruition, whatever it is you're trying to sell to them. They're the early adopters. So I think it's really, Markus's point really resonated with me, that it may take time, and changing something based on community feedback may be a challenge, but these are the people who are your key core audience. And if they're giving feedback, you should definitely engage and communicate with them and consider making changes based on their advice. Even if it's a challenge, maybe it'll result in that much better of a product and allow you to connect with so many more people. So that was really important advice for me to hear, I think. And I really appreciated that for many of my questions, Markus answered with kind of bullet pointing 1, 2, 3 in his response. I wonder, listening back, if any of you had other additional key takeaways, because I think there were many. If you did, comment here, wherever it is that you're listening, or comment on Instagram or on Twitter, and let us know what your key takeaway was. What was the one that was kind of a slam dunk and hit it out of the park for you, resonated with you, something that you thought you could implement in your future projects and your current creativity? Let us know. We look forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you again, Markus, for joining us here at What's Your Random Podcast. I hope that you, listener out there, who I am in the ears of right now, I hope that you are passionately pursuing your creativity just like Markus is, and putting things out into the world to share your ideas with others. I look forward to connecting with you again on the next episode. And until then, enjoy the random.